simply be. I begin by finding a comfortable place. I feel my body relax, my breathing become regular and easy, and the busy stream of my thoughts slow as I open my mind and heart to the divine presence within me. I affirm, God is here. Let's all say that. God is here. Relaxation deepens as I focus on this simple thought. Peace, love, wisdom, and understanding fill my awareness. In this timeless moment, there's no discord, there are no concerns. There's only God within and all around us. My heart's wisdom hears the words, I am with you always. You can say that one too. I am with you always. Refreshed and renewed, I return to the activities of my day. My soul is at peace, my mind is clear, and harmony is restored. And from Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God.
Imagine if the whole world cooperated and worked together like that. Oh, it feels good, doesn't it? Just imagine that for a minute. All right, let's take that thought into our statement of being. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. Am I making a funny sound too, or is it just my ears? Okay, we're good. Just my ears. Let's take a moment to really hold in our mind the thought, the prayer, the idea of working together, of coming together, of remembering that we are one. Let's take a deep breath as we prepare for meditation with that thought in our hearts. And I invite you to imagine the presence of light, the presence of Christ, God moving in and through you, down through the top of your head, into your voice, your heart, your breath, through your body, through the feet that carry you wherever you go out into the earth. And now imagine from the center of the earth that brilliant light, that love, that energy of Mother Nature, of all that is living, coming back up through you. Back up through the bottom of your feet, through the trunk of your body, through your arms, your legs, the top of your head, back out into the universe. Connecting you with all that is. Feeling the presence of the stars, the sun, the moon, the universe is all around us. Bring that loving energy back into through the top of your head, right into your heart. And this time, let's send it out to the people that we love. Our family, our friends, our congregants, those online, those here in the room, our neighbors. And now one more time from your heart, send that loving energy out a little bit further, connecting our hearts to that of which we may pass on the street, to the hearts we may see in a grocery store, the smiles we may encounter at work, the stranger we may see in the car next to us. From our heart to theirs, we send that connection of oneness. Now one more time, bringing that loving light and energy into our heart and sending it further out across this state, the state of Michigan, across the United States, into the hearts and the minds of each and every person all situations, all people, all mindsets, every home, into every heart, of every age, and see that light adding a spark of hope, a spark of connection from our hearts to each and every one of theirs. And one more time, let's bring that bright, radiant light of God into our hearts and send it out across the entire globe, the entire earth, into every country, into every village, into every field, into every heart. And from our heart to theirs, let's send that simple reminder that right where each and every one is, God is. Hope is. Possibility is. And may that spark of hope, even the smallest part, bring the reminder of love into each mind, into each heart. Remembering that healing is a return to memory of wholeness. We send that memory of wholeness out to everyone. And remember that we are one with all. Now bring all that love, that energy, that memory of wholeness back into your heart. And take a moment to picture in your mind's eye what it looks like for our hearts to be connected. What it feels like to work together, to be in harmony. What peace may look like to you. And allow that idea of peace to radiate through your body, healing, bringing forth forgiveness. Allow it to comfort you, to put you at ease, to bring you into this present moment, and align you with your breath, with the beat of your heart, with that divine presence that is within you. And allow that light that we send out to the world radiate from the inside of you and ripple out into this day to the ones that we love and those that we don't know. And allow it to fill every thought, every word, every meditation of your heart. And as we begin to come back into this moment, bring that feeling of love, of hope, of peace with you. Allow that vision to remain even as we open our eyes and return to this space. Bring forth that peace that you are, the possibility that you bring. And when you're ready, take one more collective breath. Where two or more are gathered, we feel it. As we now say our affirmation of meditation.
Acceptable.
start, the greatest prayer of all that says thank you. Thank you to this beautiful choir, to everyone who jumps in and attack. Thank you to Connie for these gorgeous pictures that if I were facing this way, I'd be totally distracted by. It's just, there's so much that comes into everything that we do. We do it together even when we feel that we're alone. So I really want you to take a moment and just think of some of the blessings in your life. Think of the different people who support you, who uplift you, that help even when you've forgotten to ask, the people who step up, who show up, the people who walk this journey with you. Just say thank you. Thank you, God, for the many blessings, for the many people who have been brought into our life. Thank you. And this week, if you have an opportunity, or if you're willing to make the opportunity, tell them thank you. Send a card, send a text, make a phone call, stop by. It means so much to hear those little tokens of appreciation. Because every one of us makes a difference. Sometimes not the best ones when we're not in the right state of mind, right? But we're always making an impact on the people all around us, even the people we don't know. And to hear that it's made a positive difference in someone's world can change their entire day, their entire life. It's a beautiful thing. And today I want to talk about being in a prayerful state of mind, which is what that is. Prayer doesn't look, prayer doesn't look like kneeling by your bedside on your knees with your hands folded. I don't know about you, but that's how I was raised to do it, right? Prayer doesn't look like coming to church. I mean, it does sometimes, but it doesn't have to. Prayer doesn't look like, dear God, amen. It doesn't have to. It can. Prayer can look like many different things. So being in a prayerful state of mind doesn't mean you have to quit your job and go sit under, a tree and be in lotus position in meditation. It doesn't mean you have to be in a pew at church. A prayerful state of mind is kind of like an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude doesn't mean everybody you walk past you say thank you to. What a great thing that would be, right? But an attitude of gratitude says, wow, even in the midst of the storm, I have an umbrella, I have a roof over my head, I love to dance in the rain. Even in the midst of things that we have to work on, we can still find the good and remember that right even in the midst of the storm, God is. This prayerful state of mind, this attitude of gratitude, if you will, and they can be one and the same, is really about being willing to move from reactive to responsive living. Because when our amygdala is hijacked, that's a term we use in a group I lead at work called mindsets and behaviors. And we call this amygdala hijack, when we go into that emotion of reacting and we pull our hair. That was nice. When we have those moments, and we all have them, we can lose it. Tomorrow is St. Patty's Day, spring is coming up, all these different things I love to celebrate. Well, one of the ones I don't usually care to celebrate is Mercury retrograde. And you can laugh at me for that. I know it's a little woo-woo and astrological, but it started yesterday. And that causes technology issues, as we noticed this morning. Friday, it caused me to work until 6:30 a.m. Saturday. I'll spare you the pain, Connie got to hear it. And help me through one of the 85,000 issues I faced at work on the computer. The other day during my presentation online for class, I wanted to stop sharing the screen and accidentally click leave, and I left the whole meeting without my presentation. My neighbors might have heard me scream. The teacher didn't, because I left the meeting. In those moments, right, you can really lose it. I mean, we all could have been, oh my gosh, something's not working over here. We could have been in reactive mode. And how do you think that would have worked out? Certainly not as smoothly as it did. When somebody says, oh, here, let me try this. Let me shift here. When we're in those spaces of reaction, that's when we say things we don't maybe mean, or maybe we mean them, but we could have said them better. When we're in reaction, we can't see clearly. Everything becomes foggy. We're coming from our emotions, which are usually out of alignment at the moment. So when we cultivate this prayerful state of mind, it doesn't mean we won't be triggered. It doesn't mean our amygdala won't get hijacked. It will. There will still be moments that upset you. There will still be moments when you leave the meeting in the middle of a presentation. And in those moments, we can go, wow, look at how human I am. Isn't it beautiful? Wow, what does this serve me right now? How can this serve me? What an opportunity. Let me shift. And the more you practice, it gets easier. Because I'll tell you what, I just made it sound easy. It's not. You have to practice. That's why it's a state of mind, because you have to keep going, trying, getting there. There will be days when we react. Anybody have family of any kind? You've reacted a time or two over the years, right? Anybody ever drive in rush hour? You've reacted. Even if it wasn't out loud inside, my windows are up when I'm reacting, so nobody hears it. It still is affecting you. And often we have all these principles and these teachings that we listen to and we try to practice. And so when we're upset, sometimes we squash it down. We try to own it away. And not all the affirmations in the world, not all of the deep breaths in the world will bring you out of it if you're not willing to work through it. So your emotions are okay, all of them, all the full spectrum of emotions are okay. It's how we respond to them or react to them that matters. And so being in a prayerful state of mind gives us that practice of recognizing when we're out of that state. And it allows us to take that deep breath, not that the deep breath will fix what's going on or stop the emotion, but it brings us out of reactive mode into responsive mode. It allows us to be in responsive living rather than reactive living. And you probably all know someone who is one of those who reacts or overreacts to everything. And maybe you've been that one. Don't shame yourself in any of this. But have you ever seen someone, I have a friend, and she is a great example of that. She would, oh my gosh, now it's raining. And don't you know we have something to do on Wednesday? Well, it's Sunday. Let's take a breath. The other day she texted me, I went to the doctor today, and they told me I had glaucoma, so I'm going to be blind any day now. I'm like, I've had glaucoma since I was 19. That's not how it works. But we know that, and it's in all of us, isn't it? That potential is in all of us. To go, one more thing, the whole, I stubbed my toe this morning, this day's going to suck. Well, just, put some ice on it, it'll be fine. Don't make the whole day suck because of it. But again, it's a difference between being reactive and responsive. Where are you on a normal basis? Because we all travel the full spectrum, right? How do we find that unshakable peace? That peace that passes all understanding? That's the question. And we sing every week about let peace begin with me. Well, it's not just about being a peaceful presence for others. It's allowing it to be present in you. That place that you can access when you need it most. And sometimes it does look like a deep breath or calling a friend to say, tell me something good, right? But the one thing we have always had at our beck and call is prayer. And that's what I want to talk about today. We're continuing on with the story of Lent. We talked about Jesus asking last week about going to the Garden of Gethsemane and asking his friends to go with him. And of course, we learned his friends are states of consciousness. But can you imagine knowing that there were hard times coming, because Jesus knew, and thinking that prayer would help? Have you ever been in a place where things are going so wrong that you're like, and what good is that going to do? I've had people say that to me. Let's take a deep breath and just take a moment for prayer. Really? Go right now? Yes. Right now. Because when we're worried or upset, our reaction will contribute to the storm. It'll add to the mess. You ever heard, people say, fight fire with fire? Well, that's a ridiculous idea. I've never understood that term, so if someone understands it, maybe tell me the rationale behind it later after service. When we fight fire with fire, we're creating more fire. If somebody's yelling and you yell back, what do? They yell louder, right? And so if we can, in those moments, not necessarily walk away and ignore, although sometimes that's the best bet. I'm a big cheerleader for boundaries. But we can simply tell somebody, I hear you. That takes them out of reaction mode and allows them to be a little bit more responsive. Thank you, finally somebody's listening. Right? Because often when people are upset, I don't know about you, but when somebody's wailing out of control, I'm like, catch you later. Call me back when you can talk to me at a decent volume, right? And that's okay to have boundaries, but often people simply need to be heard. When you're upset, when you're triggered, when your amygdala has been hijacked, what do you need most? For somebody to know how you're feeling. Right now, I'm running late for work, and they closed the freeway for the next 2 years. I'll tell you what, we're 2 weeks in. I'm over it already. Not for applause. I mean, I'm flustered already. And we have 2 years to go. And I caught that the other day. I caught it in me. I'm like, holy cow, April, you gotta change this. You can't do this for 2 years. You can't be flustered about this. It's not going to change anything. And when I'm frustrated, it makes it more painful. It causes me suffering. It doesn't make, my route home, and that's the good news, it's on the way home, not on the way to work. It doesn't make it go faster. In fact, when I'm in that state of mind, it makes me notice everything else that is annoying. Or things that aren't actually annoying, but now you're annoyed with, right? It spirals. So which way are you going? Are you going down that wormhole of frustration? And this too, and that person's driving in the fast lane doing 30. The speed limit's 35. They're really not doing terrible things. It's okay, take a breath, right? And for me, I'm like, okay, now it's time to tap back in before I get in the car, or when I get in the car to leave work, I put on some music or something I want to listen to, or I'll call a friend before I start driving, like, hey, you want to drive home with me? And we have a great conversation. But often we need to really pause. And for me, the power to pause is usually prayer. Jesus went away to the garden, and he faced some real human struggles. He knew there were some really hard times coming. But that profound moment of surrender was not him giving up. It was him giving in to divine will. There are so many things out of our control, and I think if we had a pie chart, most of the things we spin our wheels about and get upset about spending our energy on are those things that are out of our control. But what is in your control? Your reaction, your response, your mindset. Everything means whatever meaning we give it. It's raining. You guys have heard me before. So some people hate the rain. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to have to water my lawn. I like to dance in the rain, and it's Sunday warm enough to do that. What a great day. And for someone else, it's ruined their day. What meaning have you given the things that bother you? Whether it's a family member doing things you wish they wouldn't. I have one of those. Anyone else? I have more than one of those, really. But it's the meaning I give it, and what if I can allow them to choose their own journey? I want to choose my journey. I don't want someone else telling me what I should be doing or how I should be living. What if we could give that same grace to someone else? What if when we prayed, we could pray for them, our loved ones, to be safe, to be happy, and then release it, knowing that their happiness may look different than my happiness. I have had so many many moments where I was able to notice someone I love in pure joy in a way that I didn't understand. And if we can go, wow, but I'm so happy that you are so happy where you're at right now, that you have found this joy. It may not be mine. You know, not everybody's meant to skydive. But have you ever heard from people who skydive, Mike? Is it awesome? It is on my bucket list. Mike has several hundred jumps in it, right?
Yep.
And that doesn't mean his joy has to be yours. But if we were so worried about him doing that, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, we would suffer and he would keep jumping. And we would be stressed and we would be overwhelmed. You ever been there? I have all the time. And, you know, out in the world there are things happening that we have no control over. And the best thing we can do is to find what we do have control over and manage our responses from there. Jesus knew he had to go away and pray to align himself, because, I mean, I imagine he was worried, he was upset. I imagine that parental conversation. And of course, you know, in Unity we study the metaphysics, and we know that not all things are literal, but there's times, I think, father and son. I'm pretty sure Jesus was like, really? Come on, I'm not doing that. But why? I'm sure he wasn't like, oh, yay, I get to be crucified, right? He had to go and pray and align himself with what was his to do, recognizing that there was a bigger picture that he didn't even know about. Charles Fillmore said that prayer is not an occasional beseeching of an unknown power, but a constant communion with the indwelling Spirit. When we face these moments of intense struggle, and those moments are sometimes just worrying about something. You know, when we worry, we're worried about the part of our story that hasn't actually happened yet. We're worrying about a story we made up. If we worry about somebody jumping out of a plane because we were sure they were going to die at the bottom, I don't know the percentage, but I'm pretty sure that most people live. It seems so. So when we worry about that new driver getting in an accident, or we worry about getting laid off at work, or we worry, whatever your story is. We're worried about a story that we've made up. Michael Beckwith says that worry is like praying for the worst possible outcome. Because our thoughts are prayers, right? So what is going through your mind on a regular basis? Because if the thoughts are prayers, then that worry is being heard, and the universe is responding. And what we resist persists. Where energy goes, you know, or where attention goes, energy flows. What we're focusing on is what we're creating more of. What are you praying for? Jesus' prayer was not a desperate plea. He didn't do what I said I imagined, as far as we know, right? What Jesus did, his was a deep communion. He went into this inner space inside. And he had this deep presence of stillness with the divine. That place that we usually have to close our eyes to rather than look out there. He aligned his consciousnness with God's plan. He didn't have to understand it. He didn't even have to know what it was. And that's what prayer is. Charles Fillmore says, true prayer is the conscious realization of the presence of God within you. It's just realizing that despite what you see out here, despite that part of your story that you've made up and you're worried about, God is right there too. And we believe that with God all things are possible. So when we align ourselves, even in those moments that may seem small, like technology not working, when we remember that God is with you, a friend shows up to help us. Or you think of another way. Maybe that thinking of another way was God answering that prayer. That person calling saying, I can help you through it, that is God answering that prayer. But we must first recognize the presence right here in this moment, right here, right now. Look at where you're sitting, where you're standing. Online, maybe you're laying down. That would be nice. I'd like that. Sometimes when I watch TV, I lay on my floor and stretch. Even there, in the stretches, if you're running, maybe you're out running, right there God is. Right here in the presence. Both challenging and joyful. When we remember, we are transformed. When we remember that right where you are, God is, we're able to see more clearly. The fog moves out of the way. So this prayerful state of mind is constantly returning to that. Because I don't know about you, but I haven't met anyone yet that's there all the time. I'm certainly not. I worry, and then I catch myself. Okay, hold on. And in the moments I can't align myself, I call someone else who can help. Or I pause, I take a breath, I read something, I listen to something. Music is a great tool for me. But you have to return often to that place, just again, right where you are at. Close your eyes if you need to, right here. God is. And this prayerful state of mind simply is a matter of remembering. Eric Butterworth says, don't go to God asking for favors. Go to God asking for yourself. Prayer is not about changing God. God is perfect love, perfect light. God is all good. It's our consciousness that we just need to remember, that we need to shift. And that's in our power when we allow God to work through us. The practical ways of cultivating a prayerful state of mind are the things we do here all the time. We meditate, we practice mindfulness, we use prayers, affirmations, visualizations. Beginning of our meditation, I invited you, or throughout the meditation, to visualize our hearts connecting to the hearts of others. That's a practice. It's just a tool. Practicing gratitude is a way to cultivate that. Spending time in nature. For many of us, it shows up in different ways. Maybe silent prayer, maybe walking prayer. But the more often we practice whatever it is for you, whatever activities line you with that memory of wholeness, is what you should be doing more of. That's different for everybody. I've met many people who are like, I have such a hard time meditating, I can't quiet my mind. Well, a little secret, just between you and I, you don't have to quiet your mind. That's a whole nother message, a whole nother class of meditation, but just going into the stillness for some. For some, I have a friend who is really, his families are going through a lot, and last week he told me, he said, you know, my daughter went to her friend's house, and I turned off the phone, and I just went to spend time in the park, walking through the trails, being with nature, being by the water. For him, that was alignment. For you, maybe it's listening to beautiful music. Maybe it's sewing, crocheting. My friend's daughter tells me crocheting is her meditation. But the more you practice, the quicker you'll be able to get there. The quicker you'll be able to move from reaction to reactive living. Because in those moments when you're in reaction and you've been practicing these tools, you'll almost go into it automatically. For the other day, in the midst of the frustration at work, I paused, got up, went for a walk, got a drink of water, took some breaths, did a couple laps around the building, and came and sat back down. Did it fix the problem? No. There was still many hours worth of challenges after that. But it shifted me. I was at the point where I could have cried or screamed, or the only other person in the building at that point was the security person at work. I kept thinking of, I get a weekly email from dictionary.com that tells me a new word. And a couple of years ago, I learned the word defenestrate. It's the act of throwing something out the window. That word came to mind more than once. I'm pretty sure that's why our windows don't open at work. Or in any tall building, I'm pretty positive. The fact that there's a word in the dictionary for it, I'm not the first to have thought it. But taking that walk, calling a friend, taking that breath, didn't change the challenge, but it aligned me to be able to respond to it rather than react to it. It's this peace that passes all understanding. I didn't have to know the solution. I just had to take a break. So in Unity, we practice a 5-step prayer practice. And I want to give you the short version of that right now. And maybe it'll serve you. Maybe it'll remind you. Prayer isn't necessarily going, God, change the situation. Help me fix this outside God. Although personally, I believe if we are all one, there are moments where we don't have capacity in and of our own human selves. We have to reach outside of us. So it's not that God is only outside of us. God is everywhere present. Our first principle says that God is good and God is everywhere. Right? So when we reach outside of us, that's a beautiful thing. But this prayer practice says, first, relax. Not always easy, so maybe when you're in reaction mode, you just go pause. It's another way to relax. Like, okay. And then concentrate. And concentrate doesn't mean concentrate necessarily on the problem, but on God, just for a moment. And then meditate. Meditate just says take that breath. Remember, we're right where we are, God is, and then realize is step 4. When we realize that those 12 powers we practice this month is strength. These teachings we practice, they're with us. We just realize, we remember. That's another way to think of that. And then finally, we appreciate. We say thank you. Thank you for realigning me so now I can respond to whatever it is before me. Thank you for sending people to help when needed. Thank you for letting me be the answer to someone else's prayer. So we could be relaxed, we concentrate, we meditate, we realize, and we appreciate. Close with just thank you, God. I believe Jesus did that. These steps to responsiveness are simply cultivating this awareness, practicing these principles, pausing when needed, and that's my big tool, you know that. Choosing a response that will align with good, with God, right? I mean, have you ever been typing an email or a text or leaving a voicemail and then backspace, delete, start over? Delete voicemail, record, backspace on the text, and maybe you had to do it 3 or 4 times before you actually didn't react and say things you didn't mean to. We're like, okay, no, don't say that. Oh, that'll only make it worse. The practice of backspace, metaphorically speaking, is powerful. The practice of thinking before you speak, is it going to help, is it going to serve, is powerful. So Jesus going away, and going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and he prayed. Him going away isn't necessarily surprising, right? But how many of us would have had the mindset to do that? So this week, I just want you to remember that you have this power. As you know, I believe it was announced or shared somewhere, Unity Royal Oak began, we joined here, we joined in on stopping to pray at noon, just for peace in the world. Don't define what that may look like, but just pray that there is peace in the hearts of each and every one. Collectively speaking, the energy in that is powerful. You have prayer partners that you can ask for prayer in those moments when you can't do it for yourself, because we all have those moments. So practicing is also asking for support from others when you need it. But I like a call to action. So my call to action for you this week is to practice cultivating this prayerful state of mind by simply choosing 1 or 2 things that work for you and making time for them at least once a day. Whatever that time doesn't mean you need to meditate for 20 minutes or have a certain time or length. It just means even 5 minutes. If it's go for a walk, if it's raining, go for a walk and circle around your house if you need to. If it's meditation and you don't have time, take 1 minute. 1 minute. Who doesn't have 1 minute? We all waste 1 minute, many times a day. Pick one of those. So my call for you is just to choose 1 or 2 that works for you. And just practice. Surrender your worries to the possibility And prayer works. Practice these prayer steps. It's spiritual wellness month. I think I may have shared that last week. It's spring is coming. Isn't that a feeling of hope? If we can add our prayer to it, there's a song like, when I've done everything I can, I pray. And I invite you this week to pray first. If you pray first, you won't have to do everything you can. Because what is yours to do will show up first. Everybody says, of course, what I was looking for, I found it in the last place I looked. Well, I sure hope so, because if you keep looking, that's just silly after you found it. Another statement I don't understand, right? Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. The song we're going to be singing in just a moment. I'm inviting you to begin this week by practicing whatever it takes to align with peace. Bring that into your heart. Be willing to go away for a moment and pray, or meditate, or walk, or read, whatever works for you this week. Are you willing to join me in that practice? Just notice if it makes a difference. That's all I'm asking you to do. Give it a try. You don't even have to believe it. And the golden key in the box says you don't have to believe this, just do it and you'll see that it works. And that's what I'm saying to you. Just give it a try. Practice the state of prayer that works for you and see how your consciousness shifts. Because it begins with us. All of it really does. It's not just a song, it's the truth. So now let's take that color and visual in your mind of what it looks like to you, and just say, thank you, God, for reminding us each day that we have within us the strength, the power, and the tools it takes to live a prayerful state of mind with an attitude of gratitude, aligned with Christ that is present within each and every one. And so it is and shall be. And now I'm going to sing with us the Lord's Prayer. seen a clover, four-leaf or otherwise, alone in a field? No, they come just fields full of them. And that's what happens when we align ourselves with the divine presence. It shows up in abundance. Good shows up in abundance. And we bless these tithes and offerings, know that the same is true for those. For all that we give from our heart is pressed down, shaken together, multiplied, and returned to us. So thank you, God. And so it is.
Be the love you are.
sword under a shamrock. Because it's within you. And as you take these practices, this mindfulness of prayer into this week, as you come from an attitude of gratitude, just notice, be on the lookout for how it spreads from you to others. Because that's what we want to bring into this world. Shine your light so far that it reaches places you'll never know. Because that's what we have the power to do. Because within us, God is. The light of